All right, let's dive into the absolute chaos that is Elder Scrolls Online PvP and talk about one of the most misunderstood roles out there, the healer. And I'm telling you right now, you can forget everything you think you know about standing in the back and just spamming heals. So if you play ESO and you're at all interested in PvP, you've probably asked yourself this exact question. And honestly, the answer has changed a lot over the years, and it might just surprise you. Because here's the thing, the best, most effective way to keep your team alive, well, it isn't always about casting the biggest, flashiest heals. Sometimes the best healing is just preventing that damage from ever landing in the first place. And that right there brings us to the whole point of this explainer, what I'm calling the healer's paradox. See, in today's fast-paced, high-damage PvP world, where mobility is everything, that classic stationary healer, the one just standing in the back, they are usually the first person to get targeted and absolutely deleted from the fight. So to survive, and to actually win, we have to totally shift our mindset. You're not just a healer anymore, you are a support player. Your job is to do whatever it takes to help your team win. Yeah, that might be healing, but it could also be providing damage shields, crowd control, or keeping everyone's resources topped off. And to figure out how to do that best, we have to start at the very foundation of any good build, the math. Okay, so before we get into any fun stuff like classes or skills, we've got to look at the numbers that actually make your abilities tick. So what stat really gives you the most bang for your buck when it comes to healing? Now, this is where it's really interesting. The best stat to stack actually depends entirely on the type of heal you're using. If you're all about those heals over time, or HOTS, the skills that stick to your allies and heal them for a while, then stacking the healing done stat is going to give you the most efficient output. But if you need that massive oh crap emergency heal to save someone from the brink of death, then stacking critical chance is king. It's what's going to give you the biggest possible number in that split-second moment. So the takeaway here is that there is no single right answer. You can absolutely build for those powerful, consistent HOTS, or you can build for those massive, life-saving burst heals. As you can see, both of these approaches are completely valid ways to support your team. But you know what the data does make crystal clear? What not to do. Just mindlessly stacking your max magicka is hands down the worst way to try and increase your healing power. Keep your magicka pool at a reasonable level, say around 30,000, and then put your stats where they'll actually do some work. Okay, so once you've got your stats sorted out, you can start to build your character around a core philosophy. And it's not about finding one perfect meta build, it's about understanding the strategy you want to play. And this really shows two popular and really effective ways to think about it. On one side, you've got your classic raw healing warden. The goal here is totally reactive. You let the damage come in, and then you use your incredibly powerful HOTS and burst heals to get everyone back to fall. Sets that give you resource sustain are key here, so you can just keep those heals pumping. Then on the other side, you've got a more modern damage prevention arcanist. This is a proactive playstyle. You're trying to stop the damage before it even hits by stacking up massive shields on your whole group. Core sets here are things that trigger shields to protect your team. But look, even if you have the most perfectly crafted, min-maxed build in the world, it is completely useless if you can't stay alive. And that brings us to what is, without a doubt, the most important part of being a great support player, tactical survival. Because, say it with me, a dead healer heals no one. So here are 5 keys to survival, especially when you're outnumbered. First, healing is everybody's job. Even the DPS should be throwing out HOTS. Second is positioning. You gotta be a ghost, close enough to heal but far enough away that you don't get caught in a big ulti dump. Third, manage your resources. Never ever let them drop below half. Fourth, get overflowing altar on your bar. It is a literal insurance policy that lets your teammates save themselves even if you're stunned. And finally, number 5, you have to master kiting. Constant movement is life. And just listen to this clip from the voice comms of a high-stakes tournament. When the pressure is on, when everything is going crazy, the only thing that matters is survival and getting those heals out. It's pure chaos, and you're the anchor in the storm. So now that we've laid the groundwork, we've talked stats, philosophy, and tactics, we can finally get to the most controversial question of all. Which class is actually the best for PvP support? Okay, I know, this sounds like complete and utter heresy. The Templar is the classic, iconic healer in Elder Scrolls, but if you really break down their toolkit for the kind of mobile, fast-paced PvP we see today, you can make a very, very strong case that they've been left behind. And here's the core issue. So many of the Templar's key abilities force you to stand still. Their main source of minor mending, which is a huge healing buff, comes from a circle they place on the ground. If you're not in the circle, you don't get the buff. And in PvP, as we've already established, standing still is basically a death sentence. Now let's contrast that with a class like the Sorcerer. A Sorc can be streaking across the battlefield, dodging attacks, completely focused on their own survival, and with one single button press, they can send a huge burst heal to an ally 20 meters away, without even having to stop or turn around and look at them. That is the kind of mobility and efficiency that modern PvP requires. And this idea applies to other classes too. Think about a Dragon Knight, a DK that drops a Cinderstorm and snares a whole group of enemies by 70%. That can do way more to save a teammate getting chased down than any simple heal ever could. You're not just healing damage, you're preventing it by controlling the enemy. It's about the entire toolkit, not just the skills that make a health bar go up. So what this all boils down to is a new way to think about building a support player. Your stats are the absolute foundation. On top of that, you build a philosophy. Are you preventing damage or reacting to it? Then come your tactics. How you play is way more important than what skills are on your bar. And only at the very top of this pyramid do we even start to think about class. The best support class is simply the one with the best overall toolkit for the job. And that leaves us with one final question, a question for you. Now that you have this new framework, what kind of support player are you going to be? Are you going to be that raw healing warden, an impenetrable shield-stacking arcanist, or maybe a utility-focused Dragon Knight controlling the entire battlefield? The choice and all that power is yours.